What's going on, everybody? Lifty's MMA here, back with another UFC predictions video, and I ain't gonna lie, it's been a while since I've done a predictions video, probably since the Adesanya card, I think. Now, I don't know if my luck is better when I don't post my predictions or something, but we've still been cashing out every single week since then, including the last UFC event, which we cashed heavy on Denise Gomez by round 2 KO, and I almost swept that whole entire card. Basically, the only fight I got wrong was Mateus Camilo to win, and he was looking good too, but my favorite read of that card was Denise Gomez by finish, and she got it done. Now, moving on to this week's card, there's a lot of plays that I feel pretty confident about. The main event is kind of a pooper. Honestly, just my opinion, they should have switched the co-main and the main event around. But with that being said, let's break down every fight, starting with the main event here, Blanchfield and Barber. Honestly, my prediction for this fight is it's a lock to go the distance. I don't think either of these girls are finishing each other. There has been a decent amount of finishes in women's MMA recently, but I think we're probably most likely going to see a Blanchfield by decision here. Betting-wise, I'm staying away from this fight. Only thing I'm probably going to touch is betting on the rounds. I do think Blanchfield is better grappling wise, and she's going to use that to her advantage any chance she can. She's going to try and get her to the mat and just hold her for like half of the rounds. So I think Blanchfield by decision is the most likely outcome of this fight, but I'm not going to touch it betting wise. Now, moving on to the next fight, you got Gamrot versus Klein, which is a pretty good matchup. It's a banger, okay? Both of these guys have been on runs as of late in the UFC, but Gamrot is coming off to a controversial split decision loss against Dan Hooker. Their fight was a war, okay? It's not like Gamrot absolutely dominated Hooker. Hooker didn't dominate Gamrot, but I think that Gamrot should have came out on top in that fight, especially against someone who's a dog like Dan Hooker. Your next fight, you're going to come out even stronger, bro. And I think what this fight ultimately comes down to, both of these guys are pretty well-rounded fighters, but when you look at Klein, his last fight was against Roosevelt Roberts, a 12-6 dude in the UFC who is not impressive whatsoever. He won by unanimous decision, as you can see right here, but ultimately, though, I am going to go with Gamrot because I think that he's just been tested against the better fighters in his career. He has a win over Arman Tsarukyan. That is not easy whatsoever. Klein's most impressive win was a win against Ignacio Bahamondes, which is actually a really solid win as well, which is also a really impressive win. Bahamondes is a beast. He's been on an absolute run recently, but I do rate Gamrot's Arman win over Klein, so I'm going to go with Gamrot probably by decision. Moving on to the next fight, we got Billy Ray Goff versus Ramiz Brahimaj. I think this one just got added to the card yesterday. I'm taking Billy Ray Goff by knockout or decision. He's better everywhere, in my opinion, okay? He's coming off a loss to, I think the guy's name was Trey Waters, and what you got to understand about that loss is this Trey Waters guy right here is 6'5" in the 170-pound division. That is insane, okay? Trey Waters is 9-1, and him and Billy Ray Goff had a straight-up war, bro, but Trey Waters ended up putting a little bit more on him. Other than that fight, Billy Ray Goff had a knockout on Dana White's Contender Series and a first-round knockout for his UFC debut, compared to Brahimaj, who is more of like a win-loss type of fighter. He's coming off a win against Mickey Gall, a first-round knockout. But if you go back and watch that fight, bro, Mickey Gall, he was basically a corpse out there. He had literally nothing for Brahimaj. It would have been a failure if he didn't finish him within the first 2 rounds, bro, literally. Brahimaj has lost to Temba Garimbo, who... Don't get me wrong, Temba Garimbo isn't bad, but he's like no technique and all athleticism, honestly. And he lost by unanimous decision to him and Court McGee. I just think Billy Ray Goff is everywhere, and he's probably going to finish Brahimaj in the 2nd or 3rd round, or he's just going to win by decision. Brahimaj's best chance of winning is going to be by submission, and Goff has never been submitted in his career, and he's a great grappler himself. Moving on to the next fight, we got Dustin Jacoby, the 37-year-old vet, okay, against Bruno Lopez, who this is probably his 2nd or 3rd official fight in the UFC. Yeah, barely gonna be a 2nd one. He had 2 fights on Dana White's Contender Series, got knocked out by Brenson Ribeiro, and then he came back and knocked out this dude, however you say his name. I don't know. Now, both of these dudes are coming off wins. Dustin Jacoby's win was against Victor Petrino, who's now 11-2, but honestly, I don't really rate that win high at all, bro. The fight right before that, Victor Petrino literally got submitted by Anthony Smith. Getting first round submitted by Anthony Smith in 2024, that is the worst of all looks, bro. So I don't really rate Dustin Jacoby's last win that high, and honestly, I'm gonna side with Bruno Lopez here, the younger up-and-comer, the Dana White Contender Series guy. I think that he's just gonna be slightly like 1 or 2 steps ahead of Dustin Jacoby, and you're gonna be able to see it during the fight. I think he might even work in his grappling. His last fight, he used a lot of grappling. It kind of looked like a women's MMA fight out there, bro. Like, Bruno Lopez was just pinning the dude to the ground for a little bit, but I am gonna side with Bruno Lopez here. I think this fight will be close, but I think Bruno Lopez gets it done by decision, or honestly, I could even see him getting a TKO here. But my official pick is gonna be Bruno Lopez Lopez. So let's move on to the next fight here. We got Zachary Reese versus Dusko Todorovich. This one's easy, bro. Zachary Reese money line, okay? Zachary Reese is 8-2. His only 2 losses are both in the UFC. One of them was a slam by Cody Brundage, and the other one was his last fight against Azamat Bakayev, who is a dog. Let me just say, Azamat Bakayev is a beast. The fight after he destroyed Zachary Reese, he got a first round KO against Ryan Loder. This was a few weeks ago on the Bo Nickel card, actually. So it's not like Zachary Reese got knocked out by a bum, okay? Azamat Bakayev is a beast. And when you look at this dude, Dusko Todorovich, bro, I just think overall, this just tells me Zachary Reese is going to win by KO or TKO. There's no other way this fight is going to go. Zachary Reese is going to finish him. Now, moving on to the next fight. This one is going to be a tricky one, okay? It's a women's MMA banger. Ketlin Vieira versus Macy Chiasson. 11-3 versus 14-4. They're both the same age. Macy has a 3-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage. That's going to be a little bit significant. Now, when you look at both of these women's record, okay, they have a similar opponent. They both have fought against Irene Aldana. Irene Aldana knocked out Macy Chiasson in the 3rd round of their fight, and she also knocked out Ketlin Vieira in the 1st round of their fight. Since being knocked out by Irene Aldana, Ketlin Vieira has not finished anybody, and she barely even has any finishes to begin with. But just looking at it specifically since fighting Irene Aldana in 2019, 0 finishes. Now, she is losing against people who it's like, okay, you're gonna lose to Kayla Harrison. She's basically calms up. Now, when you look at Macy Chiasson's record, alright, since she got knocked out by Irene Aldana, she's had back-to-back finishes, both in the year 2024. I don't know, anything could happen. It is women's MMA, but when I look at the fight in that aspect, my gut is telling me that Macy's gonna win, okay? She might even get a finish, but my gut is telling me that she's gonna get the dub regardless. So I'm gonna go with Macy Chiasson money line for this fight. Moving on, we got the prelims here. We got Filho versus Alan Nascimento. This is an absolute banger for the prelims, okay? Alan Nascimento, he hasn't fought in 2 years, but he is an absolute dog. I think he has like 11 or 12 submissions. 15 submission wins, bro. That's not 5, that's not 6, that's 15. An elite grappler, an elite finish artist. In the UFC, he's lost to Tagir Ulanbekov, and then he's beat Jake Hadley and Christian Hernandez. 16-3, and his resume in the UFC is not bad at all, okay? He got a knockout on Dana White's Contender Series, lost to Muhammad Mokaev. And again, what are you going to do against Muhammad Mokaev, bro? He's undefeated, probably one of the best 125ers, if not the best in the world. And he put up a good fight, but ended up getting subbed in the 3rd round. And since that, back-to-back 1st round submissions. This is a tough one to read. It really is. Because no matter what either dude you pick, it's like, I get what you're saying, you know? It's hard to make a tough argument for either guy. I've gone back and forth with this pick so much, but I think I'm going to go with Jafil just because he does have a little bit more consistency when you compare him to Alan Nascimento, who hasn't fought in 2 years. The ring rust might definitely hit him, and Jafil's coming off back-to-back 1st round submission. If that ring rust does hit Alan Nascimento badly, Jafil is going to do everything he can to get Nascimento out of there in the 1st round. But honestly, dude, both of these dudes have good grappling. I don't really see either person submitting the other, unless one of them is hugely gassed out. But I think my heart is telling me to take Jafil here. Very even matchup on paper, but I think Jafil probably gets it done by decision. I want to say Jafil is going to win by submission, but Nascimento has never been submitted in his career, so being the first one to do that, it's going to be tough. It's not easy. I'm going to say he gets it done by a close split decision or a 3rd round sub. Now, moving on to the next fight here, we got Andreas Gustafsson versus Trevin Giles, bro. Trevin Giles, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. I think this is going to be an on-the-feet scrap, and I think Andreas Gustafsson is going to knock out Trevin Giles. Gustafsson should be the better striker when they get out there. It's tough to say because he does only have one actual fight in the UFC, but I'm going to side with Gustafsson by TKO here. My bad. Gustafsson doesn't even have one fight in the UFC. He has one fight on the Contender Series, so this is actually going to be his UFC debut. I still think he gets it done here, though. Gustafsson by TKO. Now, this fight, we got Jordan Leavitt versus Kurt Holobaugh. Honestly, bro, this fight is going to be a weird one, okay? Jordan Leavitt has a 9-year youth advantage over Kurt Holobaugh, but bro, why does Leavitt look like that? He just looks like he ain't trying to be out there in this picture, bro. Betting-wise, I'm probably going to stay away from this fight, but I think Kurt Holobaugh might get it done. I think Jordan Leavitt is probably going to try and take Kurt Holobaugh down a lot, and he's going to try and just control him, but if this stays on the feet, if Kurt Holobaugh can stop a lot of those takedowns, I think he's going to end up doing a lot of damage to Jordan Leavitt. Betting-wise, I'm probably going to stay away from this one, but for the video, I'm just going to go ahead and pick Kurt Holobaugh because he just looks like he's going to get it done, bro. I don't know. This one's definitely a weird one, though. I'd stay away from it if I were you. Moving on to the next fight, we got a short notice Michael Aswell. Literally yesterday, bro, this fight was supposed to be Balaji Oki versus, I forgot the dude's name, but Markel Melendez. Lopez or something. So this dude is stepping up literally on like a few day notice. The fight's on Saturday. It's Wednesday when I'm making this video. I know nothing about him, so let's go ahead and take a look at his... Okay, he lost to Bogdan-Grad. I remember this fight. Okay, no, I don't remember this fight. I remember Bogdan-Grad's last fight, but this was his Contender Series fight. Holy crap. All right, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even watch the Bogdan-Grad versus Michael Aswell fight, but just looking at these stats, bro, how did Bogdan-Grad win? Michael Aswell had over double the freaking head strikes to him, bro. He had 128 strikes to Bogdan-Grad's head. They both hit the body a good amount of times. Bogdan had a slight edge on the leg strikes, but like, dude, this kind of looks like a robbery just looking at this. If you guys have watched this fight, let me know how it went down. Let me know if it was a robbery, but that kind of looks like a robbery just looking at it. Now, that was in August of 2024. It looks like he's usually a 145er, but I think this fight is being taken at 156. I think Oki is too big of a favorite. Honestly, bro, this fight is going to be ugly. I think Michael Aswell has a chance. I think he has a chance to upset Balaji Oki, but Oki should win. There's no way Oki should lose this fight to a dude that's stepping up on a few day notice, his first fight in the UFC. Oki should win, but I don't really trust him. I'm going to pick Aswell. I'm not going to bet on this. If I do, I'm sprinkling a little tiny bit on Aswell. Balaji Oki should win, but I'm taking Aswell, okay? That's all I got to say about this fight. Balaji Oki should dominate him. I'm going to say that. He should dominate him, but you'll probably be able to tell in, like, the later ends of the first round. If he looks decent at the end of the first round, bro, he's winning the second round, and it's going to all come down to the third round. I'll just say that. So my pick's going to be Aswell, but Oki should win. And the last fight on this card... Everyone, please do yourself a favor. Do not bet on this. Do not bet on this fight at all, unless you just want to kind of get pissed off a little bit, because if you bet on the favorite, underdog's probably going to win. And if you even decide to bet on the underdog, favorite's probably going to win. So, like, this is literally a fight where both of these women's record is terrible. One of them's probably going to get cut from the UFC after they lose this. I don't know how either of them are both in the UFC with these records. I'm just going to take Ryan dos Santos to win, simply because she's from Brazil. And the other girl is 9-7, bro. One more loss and she's about to be 9-8. That's terrible. I'm taking Ryan to win. This fight can go either way. My luck for the very first fights of the UFC card is always so bad, bro. So the other girl's probably going to win, but I'm taking Ryan money line here. But that's going to do it, guys. Let me know your picks down in the comment section below. Let me just quickly run through them all again, and I'll let you guys know the ones I'm actually confident in. So Blanchfield and Barber. I'd recommend staying away from betting on that moneyline wise, but my pick is Blanchfield. I'm going to put that in the lower confidence level. Gamrot moneyline, very confident in that. Billy Ray Goff moneyline, very confident in that. Bruno Lopez moneyline, I'm pretty confident in that one. I'm not going to put it in very confident, but I'm pretty confident in that one. Zachary Reese moneyline, I'm very confident in that one. Macy Chiasson, that one I'm going to put slightly lower than pretty confident. I'm a little confident in that one. She should win, though. I don't see Ketlin Vieira winning. I see Macy Chiasson putting on like a little striking masterclass, honestly, if I'm being honest with you guys. Jafel Filho, I'm going to put that one in the same level of confidence, like the lower end of the confidence level, but he should win, bro. Nascimento, he has that ring rust, hasn't been in there in 2 years. Jalil is coming off back-to-back first-round finishes, bro. He should get it done. Andreas Gustafsson, I'm going to put that one in like the middle confident levels. I'm pretty sure he's going to get it done. This fight, bro, I don't feel confident about either guy in this fight at all. This one, again, lower confident levels. This one, do not bet on it at all unless you're an absolute maniac. But these are my picks, guys. Let me know if you agreed or disagreed with any of them down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. With all that being said, it's going to do it for this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.